welcome to the D3D4 Football Podcast with me, your host, James Richards. Right, everyone, hello. The penultimate weekend of the League 1 and 2 season did not disappoint. It might have raised some anger, it might have raised some blood pressures, but it certainly did not disappoint. My name's James Richards, back again for another League 1 and 2 Bonanza pod. I'm with Chris Stringer and Ed Walker. Guys, let's start with you, Ed. How's your week been? How much did you enjoy the football yesterday?
The football was great, wasn't it? Which is, I think, always what you expect on the penultimate weekend of an EFL season, and it means that the final day's got even more on the line, with things all happening up at the top, haven't they?
Absolutely. Chris, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. And same as Ed, I was following the scores coming through yesterday, and it was just unbelievable stuff. It's just, and I've got a friend who's a Portsmouth fan who's finally starting to dream a little bit now, I think.
Yes, indeed. It may be that Oxford have left it a little too late. One result too few to get us over the line. But if you finish on 74 points and don't make the playoffs, then, you know, those teams that are above you deserve to be in there. That's for sure. It's a crazy race. We'll come on to it all, and we'll jump straight in to League 1.
League 1.
And Hull were officially crowned title winners. A 3-1 win against Wigan Athletic. I won't dwell on this one too much because this is no surprise. Hull.
That'd be too smug.
I mean, Hull are a good side. They proved it. They got over the line impressively yesterday against the Wigan side. Had something to play for. Were looking over their shoulders nervously, but as we'll come to in our look at the relegation battle, they didn't have anything to worry about in the end. But Hull, under Grant McCann, have deserved what they've got. Consistent form. I think this run they've been on recently has proved that they're probably better than the level, and they've got players that are better than the level, and it's shown consistently across the season. So well done to Hull, a fully deserved title, a bounce straight back up into the Championship, first time of asking, which is not as easy to do as it sounds. But you know, again, like I say, that's a fully deserved title for them. The big game, though, the one that we should focus our attention on, was at London Road on a dodgy pitch, and that was not the only dodgy thing that happened in this game. Let's be honest. But what a game it was! Lincoln came out of the traps flying. 3-0 lead they jumped into. Now, you know, if you look at the goal difference, for Lincoln to really usurp Peterborough's place in the automatic promotion spots, they had to get the goal difference round to their favour. So a big win against Peterborough would have been absolutely huge in that respect. However, it wasn't to be. Peterborough, who have taken more points from losing positions in the division this season, proved that they are a side not to take lightly when they're down. They're like a wounded animal. You've got to be very careful with them. And Sariki Dembele gets one back. Johnson Clark-Harris gets a lucky deflection from the free kick, and it's 3-2. And then the worst decision I have ever seen, ever. I mean, quite honestly, I can't remember seeing a penalty as bad as this. And there's been a few bad ones over the years, but this was terrible. If you haven't seen it, do. Sammy Smodics basically jumps over the ball and thrusts his backside into the Lincoln player and then dives onto the floor. Now, he's just for me, that's a foul on the Lincoln player. You know, the Lincoln player's been fouled.
Did he dive or did he just completely lose his balance?
He's basically gone to toe with the ball, shielded his body from between the player and the ball, and the player's touched, and he's felt the contact and gone down.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happened.
It's a dive, 100% from my perspective. But it's like he has fouled the player. And
the player's rolling on the floor afterwards as well.
It's a shocking decision.
I think it looked like Scully to me, but I don't know because I've only seen it on the highlights, so I didn't get the benefit of obviously all the Twitter meltdown. I mean, it's lucky there was no people on Twitter because it would have crashed. That was terrible. The referee, his positioning, spot on.
Yeah, he was banging line, wasn't he? That was the incredible thing.
Yeah, and I thought he's not given that. No. Oh my goodness! And for Lincoln, if they'd picked up these 3 points, the pressure would have been mounting hugely on Peterborough on that last game of the season, and you never know. But in the end, it didn't matter. Johnson Clark-Harris thumped home the penalty, removed his shirt and sports bra, and that's the rest is history. They're up. Peterborough confirmed their promotion. The traditional bottle jobs of this division found something within themselves to make sure they got over the line. And despite the controversial circumstances with which this match finished, fair to say, Ed, that it's not really an unfair final outcome over the course of the season.
No, not at all. If it wasn't this weekend, it was next weekend.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's spot on. If they hadn't done it this weekend, even if Lincoln had got past, I think they played Charlton in midweek, he probably would have fancied Posh to get the job done the final day. It's a bit of a shame it's kind of ended like this, hasn't it? That they got the promotion confirmed in such controversial circumstances. But over the course of the campaign, they have been one of the two best sides in the league. And I remember they talking pre-season about how this is kind of the revenge season for what happened at the end of last campaign. They've done it. They're back in the Championship for the first time in 8 years, I think it is.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been there.
And they did get the rough end of the curtailing of the season last year.
They certainly did.
Oh, that was outrageous as well, really. I mean, what I never understood about last year is why they didn't just do a playoff system exactly like the conference used, because then no one would have felt hard done by.
I think we should have done the Ipswich of just letting anyone that wants to play in the playoffs play.
Yeah, I would have been down for that as well. I think if Steve Evans wanted in as well with Jules, that'd been fun.
Well, the good thing about the positive thing for Southend and Grimsby, who have been relegated to the National League, is that if you're not in the relegation places, you are in a playoff spot. That's basically how it works now, isn't it? In that division. But seriously though, well done to Peterborough. Like you say, Ed, not the best circumstances to do it, but one isolated incident does not define their season. Their season is defined by the fact that they have been one of the most exciting teams to watch. In these quickfire reviews I'm doing on our YouTube channel, which if you want to go and watch them, please do. There's lots of them coming out next week as well. A lot of fans are saying that Peterborough are the best team they've seen in League One, or at least one of the best teams. I mean, they scored 79 goals this season, which only Hull have scored more, which is fitting given that Hull are the title winners, and that's why they've been successful. They score a lot of goals. They've had great performances on a regular basis from Johnson Clark-Harris, Sariki Dembele, Sammy Smolix, and
what a signing he's been, by the way, Clark-Harris. He's replaced Tony perfectly.
Yeah, and we all said that
exactly what they wanted from him.
That's probably the best replacement you can find, isn't it? And
yeah, definitely.
I'd take a 30-goal a season striker.
Exactly, and a shout out to Frankie Kent and Mark Beavers and all the. I mean, Joe Ward's been brilliant. Taylor in midfield, probably underestimated and understated player in this division, but not amongst Posh fans, who will say that he has been. You talk about the best signing, Johnson Clark-Harris. I mean, Taylor's been brilliant as well. What a signing he's been from Barnet, and been one of the best and most, solid midfielders you can have in League One. He's been excellent. So Peterborough thoroughly deserved that over the course of the season, but that was awful on Lincoln. Not the way you want it to end. But they have had a great season as well. They've got to try. You look at the table, they've got to try and finish third. Do you think? Not just so that my prediction about where they finish is correct, but more to the fact that they will then play a side that's perhaps less strong, because I don't think they'll want to play Sunderland or Blackpool.
I don't think any of these sides in the playoff race can be considered weak, to be honest.
I was going to say, yeah.
This is going to be so good when this
if Oxford do somehow make it, I think we'll be the team everyone wants to play.
You're doing this again, James. You keep playing Oxford down. You change every week. 1 week you're saying we're definitely not getting there. The next week you're saying, oh, we might get there. And then the next week you're saying, no, we're definitely not getting there. You keep changing
what I'm saying
every week.
I do. I mean, well, that's the nervous fan in me, isn't it? It's the don't let yourself get hopeful. Don't let yourself believe too much. It's too painful.
That one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but if we do get there, we will. I'm sure we'll be the team people want to play. I mean, let's look at the playoff race, because Northampton lost 3-0 to Blackpool yesterday. Blackpool were excellent. They really did put them to the sword. It was absolutely boss performance from them. Jerry Yates again, just absolutely on his game. Blackpool, the big one is, they beat Sunderland in the midweek, didn't they, as well? So they keep this record of being able to play against the big teams and take points off the best teams in the division. And they've done it consistently. They've done it consistently all season. So that win was superb. And again, like Northampton, we'll come on to them in a minute, but, it's not a huge surprise to see them go down. They probably would have wanted to put up a bit more of a fight, but with Blackpool playing how they are and with a lot to play for, it's no surprise. And Chris, this Blackpool team, we went up there to watch at the start of last season, and they've come a long way in a very short space of time under Neil Critchley. And you can't begrudge the fans that because of what they've been through for the tumultuous years beforehand.
Oh yeah, I mean, last season they won 2-0 if I remember rightly, didn't they?
I think it was 2-1. It was 2-1. I think it was
2-1 was it? Yeah.
Against Oxford.
And we thought they were good, and we thought Oxford were a little bit unlucky to lose it, and they've just taken it up a little notch this season. And you absolutely hit it on the nail on the head. The stuff they've been through over the recent years, you wouldn't wish on any football fan. And so now to be in a position where they're in the playoffs to get back into the Championship after such a long time away from it, it really is. It gives every fan of a club that's not doing so well at the moment a bit of hope.
They're not 100% safe in the playoff places, but they are, because they've got Blackpool.
Yeah,
they've got Bristol Rovers at home on the last day of the season.
They're not the one that's going to drop out.
I honestly don't think they will. And if I'm very honest, looking at how it is now, that should be how it stays. Maybe Lincoln will jump over Sunderland. That's about it I can see happening. And it's probably about right in terms of the teams that have performed most consistently and the best across the course of the campaign, with the exception, of course, of Hull and Peterborough. So there's no one's got in there, and you think
it would actually be, and should Oxford manage to get in, I don't think it'll get actually enough attention of where they were at the start of the season.
No, I mean, I'll come on to us in a minute, but it is ridiculous that we're even here talking about us being potentially in the playoffs. I mean, just ridiculous. But let's look to AFC Wimbledon, who are safe, of course. I mean, that story we'll come into in a minute, but Portsmouth a 3-1 win, just when they needed to come big with back-to-back victories. They do manage it. Danny Cowley's side said they would not want to have any regrets. And their performance yesterday, Ronan Curtis getting a very important goal. But overall, Ed, Portsmouth, they've got the squad. It's been a stuttering sort of stop-start campaign in terms of their results. What are your thoughts on them as they look pretty likely to confirm a place in the playoffs at the end of this campaign?
Well, I found it a bit weird with Portsmouth this season. Whenever I back them to do something, they've not delivered. And whenever I've not backed them to do something, they've delivered. So I think I'll say to the sake of their fans now, they're going to lose heavily to Accrington on the final day. They're going to get absolutely smashed at Fratton Park. There's no chance of getting 0 points and securing a playoff place.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Good insight.
I think what the Cowleys have done, though, is they have got the best out of the players that were there. They've just they've squeezed more out of them. Harness has looked more likely to score. Marquis has definitely done well, although he was a bit unlucky with the own goal midweek, which gave Accrington, I think, was it a 3-3 draw at the Crown?
That was a dramatic game.
He scored a hat trick, didn't he? Technically,
Yeah, he did.
Just one of them at the wrong end.
I think Close has been excellent since the Cowleys have come in. Williams has looked good. I mean, they've all looked better. They had that run though where you can see why they've struggled under Kenny Jackett. But the
problem is as well, they've got that sort of mental hurdle to get over, haven't they, with their semi-final history? Which is always going to
an interesting stat was that the team that's beaten Portsmouth in the semi-final has never gone up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, in four occasions. The team that's beaten Portsmouth have never gone up. They've always lost the playoff final. So you could always argue that if you get Portsmouth, you're doomed. If you get Portsmouth in the playoffs, you're
whatever
doomed.
way it goes.
Yeah, Portsmouth will lose in the semis, but you'll lose in the final.
That's Sunderland wanting Lincoln to finish third then.
Yeah,
looking
exactly.
at the table right now, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Whoever plays Pompey in that semi-final will lose in the playoff final, as history dictates. But obviously, history is history, and it doesn't have any relevance, I don't think, on how this will work. I think the Cowleys bring a different mindset completely. You look at the players there; they won't be dwelling on what happened in the playoff semi-finals last season. They'll just be focused on making sure they get there. They've got a stronger squad than pretty much any other team at this level, or many of the other teams at this level. They're a very good team, very good 11. I think it will be balanced far better under the Cowleys when they get an opportunity to recruit in the summer. But yeah, very good victory for them. And I think they've put themselves in the driving seat. That's all they could have done yesterday. And it's all going down to the last day. Oxford, my goodness me. What a wreck I was after that 90 minutes yesterday. We started really well against the Shrewsbury side. It was great to see Cotterill back in the stand. Steve Cotterill obviously fighting COVID and has been so long away from the club. Ridiculous to think what they've achieved without his presence there. But this is a Shrewsbury side who were playing free and loose. They looked very, very composed. Their midfield actually bossed Oxford for most of this match. Despite the fact that Pennington was dispossessed and Oxford scored a really good goal early on, they then grew into this game. And a huge shout out to Bloxham, their 17-year-old striker, who I have to say was hugely impressive, Tom Bloxham. He is 6'5". Their management team kept putting him to outjump both Rob Atkinson, who was in the League One team of the season, and our left back, who's very good in the air, Josh Ruffles. He was all over them. He kept flicking the ball on. He caused us chaos. I really enjoyed Eddie Odiambo's commentary on the iFollow. He's ex-Oxford United player, played right wing back for us when we were in the conference, and very insightful guy. And he said Oxford will be delighted that Bloxham was taken off on 69 minutes. And I think we were. I think our defenders breathed a notable sigh of relief that this 17-year-old, who was absolutely giving them a really hard time, that's a great debut from him. So Shrewsbury can be massively proud of that academy player. Really good. Keep an eye on this name. Keep an eye on this guy. He could be a huge addition to this squad. And the fact he's 17, that just makes me feel so old. And the fact he's so physically strong at that age, this kid's got a bright future, I'm sure. But Shrewsbury bossed the midfield. They really did.
How do you defend against a player that size? I mean, that's always the thing when we had Matt Smith. If it's in the air and you've got a player that tall that can jump,
I guess you got to try and stop him getting in the box, really, or at least hassle him. At least try and put a bit of pressure on him.
Also, though, with the ball at his feet, he was dangerous. He played simple, nice passes, and what they were doing is not necessarily getting him in the box. They were getting him on the flick-on, so the goalkeeper would take the kicks, and he would just flick it on, and Oxford had no answer to it. And it was
if you got Chapman playing up top alongside him, Chapman's probably going to hit from 30 yards in the top corner, because that's what he does.
Well, I have to say, I thought Vela was excellent. Vela has been, arguably
was he rushing on beyond?
Yeah. If you looked at their second goal that made it 2-1, he got through and finished really well. A bit rubbish defending, to be honest. And this is why Oxford have struggled. Defensively, we're not there. But this was a very good performance from Shrews. Better looked good. I thought Norburn played well. Vela played well. And Bloxham was superb. But as Oxford, had to go for it, we sort of threw caution to the wind in the second half, and really, as Shrewsbury dropped off, that played into our hands a little bit like Gillingham did a couple of weeks ago, and we scored. I have to say, the second goal, the equalising goal from James Henry, was a wonderful goal. You didn't really get the sense of it on the highlights because they truncated it too much. But we had the ball for ages. Our passing move was superb. And it ended up being a great team goal, one of our best goals we scored this season. And then we got slightly lucky with the way the ball fell to what am I talking about? Who scored the last goal? Yeah, it was Dan Agai. I was thinking, who scored our last goal? Dan Agai. Yeah, he sort of turned and it bobbled in. Bit fortunate, but we like 3-2 wins at Shrewsbury, and it keeps us in the hunt. If everyone remembers, the last game we played before in the curtailed season, I think it was. That confirmed our place in the playoffs. It was that 3-2 win at Shrewsbury, where I think Josh Ruffles that day scored right at the end. So huge for us. If we don't make it, like I say, I'm very proud of this team, of what they've achieved this season, given the players that we lost, the injuries that we had. People forget that Brannigan and McGuane have been out for a lot of this season. They forget that we've lost Marcus Brown, Tarek Fosu, Shandon Baptiste and Rob Dickey from last season's team. One thing I will add is Jack Stevens made 2 wonderful saves in stoppage time to keep our season alive. The first one was the best, sort of cross comes in, flick header, and he dived brilliantly to flick it away. And then someone had a shot which he managed to tip over the bar as well. So Jack Stevens has been the find of the season for Oxford. He's been a brilliant goalkeeper, keeping Simon Eastwood out, which I would not have thought possible 12 months ago. But there you go. We're in the hunt on the last day. Guys, relegation places, it's pretty much, it was always going to be the four, wasn't it? We kept saying that because of the difficulty of the fixture list for teams like Northampton and Bristol Rovers. But Rochdale, Chris, join you guys in League Two next season.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad to have that fixture back because it's always good fun, especially now we're talking about having fans back in the stadium. But I mean, in terms of from a footballing perspective, it's a little bit of a shame considering some of the quality of the stuff they've played over the course of the season. I'll get this the right way around this time. Brian Barry Murphy has got them playing, some really, really exciting stuff, and I hope he's given it a chance to sort of fix what's gone wrong, if you like.
I think if they play this kind of football, and maybe you want to chime in here, but if they play this kind of football in League Two, a little bit like Crewe were able to do, then they will be quite successful. Obviously, defensive problems need to be sorted, though.
Well, they've sort of been the Oldham of League One.
The issue I've got with Rochdale is I'm not sure how much that squad stays because there's a lot of interest. I've seen people looking at Morley, people looking at Humphreys. There's a lot of attraction with some of those young players in that Rochdale side from other clubs, and I can see them potentially moving on.
I agree. I think you're going to struggle to keep hold. I mean, Rathbone's going to go, isn't he? 100%.
Yeah.
They do need some slightly more physical players, I think, though.
They do. Defensively, they need that. They need leaders. I think they need some more leaders. I think that's the one thing I would say.
As I say, I think there's been a lot of parallels with Oldham's season in League Two, in that they can play some good football, but there isn't that sort of strong spine that you need to succeed. And if they can sort that out, and actually selling some of the younger players could give them the finances to sort that out, they've got every chance next season.
They do indeed. They really do. I don't know where they go. I don't know where the fans sit on the Brian Barry Murphy situation. I think there's a big split regarding
He's got another year on his deal.
And I think it's sensible to give him that chance. But
we've seen Hull in League One this season sticking by the manager and managed to get the promotion.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd give him another opportunity. But I think if you see them struggling in League Two, you'd cut your losses fairly quickly.
You give him a couple of months in League Two if it's you give him till Christmas maybe.
Yeah. I think he deserves that opportunity. Other results elsewhere. Charlton drew 1-1. They are still in the playoff picture. Charlton. I shouldn't discount them. 1-1.
Just
Chaps in the UK. They'll need to win the last two games and hope, like Oxford, hope that Portsmouth suffer at the hands of Accrington. Personally, can't really see it happening, but everything is open on this last day still in regard to the playoffs. Bristol Rovers lost to Crewe, their season finishing meekly. Crewe secure in mid-table with a 1-0 win. Burton and Gillingham played out a 1-1 draw. Great that Burton have stayed up. I mean, just fantastic, and really excited to see how they build in the summer. Same with Gillingham, really. If they can keep hold of their best players, looking ahead to next season, it's a fairly exciting time. But I have a feeling that they'll struggle to keep some of those gems at the Priestfield because they've done extremely well. Fleetwood won, MK Dons 1 was a result from Highbury. MK Dons, again, another team that have a lot of exciting players, a lot of exciting young players, and a philosophy which maybe next season will bear more fruit if they can start on the front foot and have a better consistency against some of the sides that they traditionally struggle against. And I think, Sunderland needed to get off their back this sort of losing streak, didn't they? They needed to find a result from somewhere because going to the playoffs without momentum is not good. They beat Plymouth 3-1 at home park. That's an important result for them. I mean, Argyle have got a huge rebuild coming this summer.
They've fallen off a cliff since pretty much securing safety.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They've looked safe for ages and they've never really looked like getting proper dragged in there, but they just cannot stop conceding goals at the moment. It's really bad.
Minus 26 goal difference. Wow.
It is awful, isn't it? But like this, I think they said on the Quest highlights that only 7 players are contracted for next season, which is actually an ideal situation in many respects because you're secure in League One. You've got a manager that knows his system, and now he can properly mould players who are good enough for the level, defensively especially, to come in and make a success of it in this division. I think if they can finish top 10 next year, that's progress. I mean, top half finish next year will be progress, but I think with a club of their size and with their budget, top 10 would be a reasonable aim for a club like
This is the thing,
Argyle.
though. You know that when we get to pre-season to next season, it's going to be about half the league saying, "Oh yeah, we could potentially push the top 6."
Well, that's always the way,
Because
isn't it?
that's what this league is.
I mean, if you look at who's going to be in this league next year, I mean, it's not fully confirmed yet, but there will be literally. I mean, who do you hang your hat on for relegation? It's very difficult to see who's going to be that big struggler. Obviously, we don't know enough about the squads and stuff, but there is a lot of teams who will be looking up rather than over their shoulder as the season ends. Ipswich will certainly be looking up. Paul Cook going to rip that squad apart. You feel a 2-1 win they had yesterday against Swindon.
He needs to.
He needs to, and he's been very frank about the players' attitudes and their desire and what he's thought of them, which I think is either refreshing or just maybe.
I mean, you may as well at this point. If you're going into your players like that earlier in the season, it's a problem. When you're at the end of the season and half of them are leaving, I think it's perfectly reasonable, to be frank.
Yeah, and it gives it's just being honest with the supporters. They know that this has not been a good enough season,
and the players know as well. The players will know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ipswich, with a club of their size, have got far bigger ambitions than they've been able to meet over the last couple of seasons. So,
I mean, you feel with the new owner, the new manager, and a refresh, the aim will be automatic places, not messing about with trying to get a playoff spot.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just, will they be able to make that jump in one season? Who knows? It's quite a tricky thing to do. Let's just jump and have a look at the League One table as it stands then. So Hull, title winners, 89 points, 45 games, only one game left. Posh up with 84 points. That gap now, 8 points between them and Sunderland in third. That's a very good season for Posh. The big thing is this playoff race. Sunderland and Lincoln secured. Blackpool almost there, but they've got a game in hand. They play midweek, and you've got Portsmouth on 72 points, Oxford on 71, Charlton on 68, but Charlton have obviously to play Lincoln, I think it is, at the Valley on Tuesday. So they've got to win both their games and hope really that Portsmouth don't get anything on that last day. I do think Portsmouth will secure it. I just think, it's likely that they will. The mentality and the performance they showed against Wimbledon is admirable, and we all as an Oxford fan, I hope they slip up, but I can't see it happening. The bottom four: Bristol Rovers bottom, Swindon second bottom, Northampton and Rochdale joining them, with Wigan and Wimbledon staying up, and Wigan and Wimbledon staying up. I mean, from where Wimbledon were, it's amazing. From where Wigan were, it's even more amazing.
Oh, that's the best thing that's happened this season. But
Yeah.
without a doubt, they should be relegated 3 months ago. With the situation they've had to deal with and the work Liam Richardson's done with that squad, the fight they've had, fully deserved, magnificent achievement.
Absolutely.
Plus, if Wigan had gone down, it would have been 2 relegations for John Sheridan in a single season.
Oh, only John Sheridan could achieve that.
Only you talking a positive light about John Sheridan, Chris. No one else does anymore.
It's an Oldham thing. Very much so.
So much.
Right, so League Two now, and very exciting. Another final day. Well, the final day is going to be amazing in League Two. No one wants to get promoted, it seems.
Yeah.
Apart from Cheltenham.
Exactly. Well, let's jump in and have a look at it right now.
League Two.
And so Cheltenham, they lost to Newport, so they didn't quite confirm the title yesterday. Newport confirming pretty much, not mathematically, but they should be now in the playoff places once the 8th of May is done and dusted. But Cambridge, I watched their game back, right, against Harrogate. They had to just get a win to get over the line. They were 3-0 down inside 20 minutes.
Yeah,
They got it back to 4-4. And
Yeah,
then they
I
lose
didn't-
5-4. Oh,
I didn't buy a match pass on Saturday, I chose to use it on a Friday night game instead to Harrogate Cambridge, and that was worth every single penny.
Oh, you didn't.
That game was absolutely brilliant.
No.
Absolutely brilliant.
It was crazy how bad they defended, wasn't it? I mean,
it was, but there were loads of like close range finishes as well. So the XG for both were just super high, and it was just
I do love Harrogate. I do love that stadium as well. Harrogate.
Yeah.
their pitch is terrible because they were forced to rip it up, and it wasn't really ready for people to play on.
Well, they were on a 3G, weren't they, in non-league, and they've had to change it since. Yeah.
It wasn't great, but I mean, they made 8 changes for this game, Harrogate.
It was a weakened side, supposedly, and they're going to put in that.
Who's the guy on loan from Norwich? Is it Honderich?
Yes, Hondermark, yeah.
Hondermark. He had a good game.
He did.
He looked very, very good. Probably should have scored more goals, Harrogate.
I was quite impressed with Brendan Kiernan up top, because he's normally been on the wing for them this season, but they've used him in a striker role yesterday, and it was just such a nuisance.
They had the classic big guy, small guy, didn't they? But the small guy with loads of pace and the big guy who just is physically.
They're doing that all season, to be honest. Normally been people like Aaron Martin, Jack Muldoon. It still works. That kind of thing can still work in football, definitely.
Yeah, I wish more clubs would do it, because I love it.
It's quite fun.
I have to say, though, if Cambridge bottle this...
Oh, that would be good.
Peterborough fans won't let them hear the end of it.
One positive I will give about them, I don't know if you guys are aware, Mullin is now tied with the all-time League Two record for most goals in the season. He's on 31. So if he gets one more, if he gets one more against Grimsby next weekend, he breaks the record.
Who holds the record? Do you know?
It's Tom Pope with 31. So
really?
Tom Pope to Port Vale in 12-13.
Wow.
So he's so close to breaking it now, and then he really can get a stand named after him, because that really would be.
Grimsby in pretty good form though, so you don't want to, they went down in a very sort of disappointing finish to a match at Exeter midweek, but they beat Port Vale, who've been on a great run. They beat them yesterday by 1-0. So you don't, Cambridge can't take anything for granted, and likewise Bolton, who needed to win to confirm promotion, conceded in the 96th minute with like a keeper up in the box, corner comes in, Pierce Sweeney, free header.
I'm sorry to Bolton fans, but it was quite funny. Like all the fireworks going on off
I'm
outside.
not gonna lie, that was quite funny as well.
Yeah.
Although apparently some have, I think, broken into the stadium, which wasn't.
Oh no,
that's not good though. No.
There's always some that spoil it, but I mean, obviously people probably shouldn't be congregated in that sort of number at the moment, but it's outside and. There's no need to be breaking into stadiums.
There's no need to be setting off fireworks until the final whistle either.
Yeah, Posh did that a week or so ago. Though. I think Posh did it.
And Cambridge had fans that travelled with smoke bombs going off before the start of the game.
That's right, and they didn't turn up at their other match where they
the Stevenage one, and then Stevenage beat them 1-0
with the banner ready to go.
They've had that banner just following them around for a while now. They just can't.
They bottle it next week, and so I get the shredder.
That's it. Yeah, quickly send this to Let's send it to Morecambe. Quick.
You know what? I kind of think Morecambe might get in there.
Oh, I hope so.
I kind of think they might, but I don't know which one of the two would fall out in that case. I kind of wonder if all three might win their games. It just stays as it is as well.
I don't know, but it's going to be. Don't know. I mean, Morecambe. What a season that they've had. They under pressure. They have to win yesterday. You look at it and think, well, they're going to Walsall, who have not been great, so you'd expect them to win. But it's a huge pressure situation, and they did get the win, 2-0. Derek Adams has been a genius. I mean, I'm not being unfair to Cole Stockton, but if you watched him play for Carlisle or Tranmere, right, he was bang average, like bang average. He was not a player that you would look at and think, we'll miss him if he's not in this team. He is now integral to the way Morecambe play.
Yep.
And he's been brilliant this season. Hugely, you can see he's got a massive amount of confidence in his game. Derek Adams deserves huge credit for that. And he brings those other three in behind him into play so well. He complements them so brilliantly. And Morecambe are... I mean, you look, if they hadn't had that red card last week against Bolton, they look very good. They might have won that game. So, but it's all what ifs now, isn't it? But they do have a chance on the last day of the campaign. They have an opportunity, and you never would have thought that.
Even the fact that they're in the prime position in the playoffs,
Yeah, I was going to say, even if they miss out, you probably still fancy them most out of the four in the playoffs at the moment.
Well, they've been
Especially
so
with
impressive. The way they play is
With
so
how
impressive.
confident they look.
And
the form they're going in with.
They're playing Bradford on the last day. Bradford. If you've watched Bradford recently, I mean, Bradford, all they had to do was
Unbeaten in one.
to keep the relegation battle.
Don't do this again. Unbeaten in one. Oh.
Yeah. All they had to do though yesterday to help Southend was just to beat Scunthorpe. They couldn't do it, and so Morecambe. You just got to believe Morecambe will obliterate.
Why have they got rid of Danny Rowe already?
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, that was weird, wasn't it? He just wants to play every week, I think, and they didn't play him every week. But
I think they're trying to get Andy Cook in permanently, which, to be fair, is I don't think a bad shout. He's been a good signing.
He's been a good signing for them, yeah. But the playoff race is heating up in League Two as well. Exeter getting that win keeps their hopes alive. Salford, now I can't.
They're going to miss out, aren't they?
I can't be the only one who was chuckling away to himself. I mean, I don't want to be unfair on Salford fans, but you know, you sack your manager, you bring in Bowyer, it all looks good, and then they really did shoot themselves in the foot yesterday. Bernard getting a red card. 2 bookings, and then Ashley Hunter, insane to do that, a player that they need on the final day, goes and shoots his mouth off and gets a red card as well. I mean, you'd be fuming if you're Salford with that, because that's such a needed thing. And then, you know, let's be honest, they're playing Colchester as well. Now, I'm sorry, Colchester fans, not being unfair.
Well, they haven't scored past Colchester in 2 games.
Crazy, isn't it?
Was it on the other one? I think.
But Colchester,
yeah, it was. It was goalless at Moor Lane.
Colchester, another side now with unbeaten in 1, so they're in great form.
We're not making this a thing, surely.
It's got to be a thing.
We didn't make it a thing.
I should never have brought this up. You wouldn't have done it otherwise.
No, exactly.
This is such a mistake.
Leighton Orient it is for Salford at home on the last day of the season. Leighton Orient now with nothing to play for.
They are a bit hit and miss.
They collapsed superbly.
They did as well. Yeah, Carlisle played well, to be fair, and got themselves back in that. And if only Carlisle hadn't had that problem, they'd be dead sets for the playoffs if they hadn't had that issue. But it is what it is. They will have a bright future under their manager, I'm sure. Great win yesterday at Leighton Orient. But it's going down to that last. I mean, even Forest Green beating Tranmere 2-1. I mean, Forest Green haven't been able to beat an egg, let alone beat a side.
Beat an egg? Oh, okay, yeah.
You thinking with that?
Yeah, they not literally like play an egg.
Yeah, no,
he's racing, and they're just racing an egg.
It took me a second.
It's too early. That's all right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, so Forest Green to get that victory is huge. It puts them back in the. It basically puts it in their own hands. Basically, I'm going to put Ed on the spot here and say, who's going to be in the playoffs, Ed?
Who's going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah.
The problem is I'm looking already at that second to fourth, and I don't know which one of those are probably going to get automatics. I've seen twists on the final day. I'm going to say Cambridge and Bolton will stay where they are, although they'll probably make it difficult for themselves, potentially. So Morecambe in the playoffs, Newport in the playoffs. Tranmere, I think, have got enough of a gap to be okay. Oh, that last one's really hard. Between Forest Green and Exeter for me. What's good is that all of those
we know
teams...
that.
Yes, sorry, I was just saying. What's good though?
We're asking you to put your reputation on the line.
What's good though is that I've had a look and they're all playing. They're not playing each other. All those 9 teams up the top. They've all got someone that's not involved in the playoff battle or the promotion battle.
Yeah, ridiculous, isn't it?
So they could all potentially win.
Yeah.
And just things stays out.
Go on then. Who's going to be that last spot then?
I'm going Exeter.
I'm going to have Exeter to nick it off Forest Green.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Bolton will be in the playoffs.
Oh, so Chris, you've got Morecambe, Cambridge, Cheltenham going up, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, not to let myself be left out of this, I will put my reputation on the line and say I think Grimsby and Southend are definitely going down. There we go.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, they have been in mid-table form for a while now.
Yeah.
Not really enough.
Okay, Grimsby unbeaten in 1, Southend unbeaten in 2.
Stop with the unbeaten.
Let's look before we sort of round everything up. Let's look at Southend and Grimsby because let's be honest, the thing they have in common is crap ownership, isn't it? And it's you can look at Scunthorpe and add that in as well in some respects. I mean, not being unfair to Mr. Swan, but he has not covered himself in glory in the last couple of years the way he's run Scunthorpe.
No.
Some of the decisions he's made have been appalling. Ron Martin refuses to accept any sort of responsibility for the problems that Southend have, which is galling, to say the least. His rambled statements that are written by, a 12-year-old.
Steve Dale-esque.
They are. They're not quite that bad, but they are pretty bad.
He'll be complaining about the Proms next.
It's just...
don't.
It is so sad for them to go down. They did what they had to do. They got the win. But like I said, Bradford, who hadn't won in like an ice age, playing Scunthorpe, who hadn't won in an ice age, drew 0-0 with them. It was always going to be, wasn't it? And a convenient result for the Scunthorpe because they just squeaked themselves over the line.
It's just been a horrible season, and it's a shame that they left it so late to start to play football.
Well, it's as we've said before, though, isn't it? They've been down there the most out of everyone.
Yeah.
So you can't really say it's too much of a surprise, as much as you'd like to see a potential late twist.
Yeah,
Not to be.
It's been coming though, because there's a reason that we and a lot of other people in their pre-season predictions had them finishing bottom. Because you can't run a club like that in a professional division as difficult as League Two and get away with it. They almost did, but it just doesn't. Fairy tales generally don't happen.
And you look at the teams in the bottom half. You've mentioned Scunthorpe, but there's a few other clubs there that have got unstable ownership, and it never works well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good owners as well in this division.
Absolutely.
I think Port Vale are superb, Crawley are superb. Carlisle's is a bit like they're very prudent. You can't really knock them.
And you get up into the playoffs. Forest Green, Tranmere, Newport, Morecambe have had their problems, to be fair, but now they looking okay. Bolton have had their rejuvenation, and the list goes on. They're all clubs that are, you'd say have fairly good owners.
No, exactly, and the link then for Grimsby and Southend is poor ownership. But the blessing for Grimsby at least is that in a few days' time we should see a new owner ratified, and an owner who looks like he knows what he's doing. Someone who knows about their responsibility to community. Looks like he knows about good governance. Looks like he has got an excellent record in running his own company. So we do see good businessmen sort of change a bit when they get involved in football because it's very emotional and they sometimes lose that savvy. I don't think that will be the case with Jason Stockwood. I don't at all. And I think Grimsby have a bright future. Paul Hurst is the man they want. I'm sure they trust him impeccably because he's been there, taken them up before, even if it takes them a few years. And I don't think
getting out of the National League is hard now.
There's only one automatic space, and
then you've got 6 playoff places.
Yeah,
it's hard getting out of that division.
It's hard, but if you're going to have to go into it, I think Grimsby are in a much better position than Southend because they have a new owner about to come in and they have a manager who's been there and done it before.
What is there any news on any changes at Southend?
Well, only Stan Collymore has been trying to facilitate aid to Ron Martin by bringing like a proper football structure, maybe like a chief executive, so Ron Martin doesn't have any say on football matters. I think is probably sensible.
Yeah.
But I think
still don't get why the Phil Brown appointment was done. I still don't get.
Well, a lot of fans are split. Some fans think it should have been done earlier.
To be honest, that Southend job from the start of the season, I think that was a job that any manager would want. I still think it was got them out of what they're in. Unfortunately,
it was harsh on Mark Mosley, but I suppose what it has done is it's given them a little bit of a bounce again. I think
essentially.
Southend fans might be right that actually a couple of games earlier.
I don't know.
That could be an extra 3 points and be coming down to the last game of the season, but
no one can say they deserve to stay up. That's the problem.
No, it would have been because Scunthorpe had done something calamitous rather than Southend really deserving to stay up.
Yeah, it's hard to say that Scunthorpe deserves to stay up, frankly.
I mean, they don't.
It is. It's been one of those seasons. Like, there's always a rubbish team who've played badly and just been awful all season that can stay up at this level because only 2 go down. But it's sad because Southend is a place that I like. I really enjoy going. With my family. It's a great place. The club's a really important part of that community. There are fans there who are really hurting right now, and it's just been so avoidable. It's been so avoidable. But what can you say? I've been there with Oxford.
They'll probably have a couple of tough seasons in the National League, you imagine, for Southend.
The most important thing is that they get things right now off the pitch. They need to stop this debacle off the pitch. They need to get a football structure in place and really rebuild.
It's easy to sink. You see it with Stockport, York, and a handful of other clubs. It is so easy to just sink down the National League structure.
Yeah, I remember I saw this thing a little while ago. I don't want to upset Southend fans too much, but they were talking about how they always consider themselves to be like a whole level ahead of teams like Chelmsford or Concord Rangers. They're now just they're going to be just a division apart now.
Yeah, and this was
how
the shock to
things can change.
This was the shock to the system when Stockport dropped into the National League and then the National League North, and suddenly you're playing teams that you think are tiny.
You end up being the same level, yeah.
And they're actually teams that were in deep dark non-league a couple of seasons ago, but they'd had a bit of good luck and a bit of good football for a couple of years, and suddenly you've got small non-league teams playing at Edgley Park in front of 5,000 fans.
Oh, exactly. Anyway, my condolences to all Southend fans. Just hope you get your club back to something of its past glories. It's a lot of work to do that, but let's just hope and pray for that. And same with Grimsby. Like we say, there's more hope on the horizon. Rounding up the results then, that didn't necessarily have a impact on the table. Stevenage 3, Crawley 3. What a game that was. Both teams have I think had fairly good campaigns. Certainly Stevenage have got a lot to look forward to next season if they can carry on with the momentum that they've built up. That's for sure. Mansfield, I think, will have a bright future. They beat Oldham 4-1. However, we talked about the worst ever penalty. What about the worst
from Burnley?
What a worst ever goal conceded in.
All I'm happy about is that in my prediction league, I had Zach Durnley as first Oldham scorer.
And he did indeed. He must have been about a millimetre.
He could be so good, Zach Durnley.
If he's first came back from injury,
he could be so good. Oh.
Let's hope he just stays fit.
Such a good player.
Yeah.
And the other, Bradford, as we said, they drew 0-0 with Scunthorpe. Colchester beating Salford 1-0. Massive result that. Forest Green and Tranmere, it's kind of a rivalry because of their days in the conference. Their owners don't like each other very much, and there's still permutations going into that last day. So
the owner of Forest Green, Vance, he can rub people up the wrong way.
He can, yeah,
and not just for being vegan.
No, exactly. The other result in the division, of course, was Leyton Orient 2, Carlisle 3. George Tanner getting the winner in stoppage time for Carlisle, and at least they look like they'll end the season on a pretty good note and can rebuild and go into next season with some of the momentum that they lost due to COVID. The table looks like this then. So Cheltenham are top. They need, realistically, with their goal difference, they must win the last game to confirm themselves as title winners. Cambridge, they just need to win. They've the last 3 games, they needed to win to confirm themselves promoted. They play Grimsby at home, so you back them to do that. But Grimsby are fighting still. They're fighting.
Grimsby love being party poopers, don't they?
They do indeed. Bolton, 76 points in third, 1 point ahead of Morecambe, and they definitely, again, if they win their last game, they're up, but by no means a foregone conclusion. Morecambe, 4th, Newport, and Tranmere and Forest Green, the teams in the playoff places. The gap is very slight, though. Salford have to win to have any chance of getting in. A draw, given the goal difference, will be enough if Forest Green lose for Exeter. Tranmere, you think, should be able to...
Someone's having fun outside.
Who's that?
Someone's having fun outside.
Someone had a dodgy breakfast there. Yeah, sorry, as I was saying, Exeter draw would be enough if Forest Green fail to win. At the bottom, it's all done and dusted. Sadly, Grimsby down, Southend joining them. Right, guys, thank you for spending the morning with me talking about lower leagues, the last game of the season. The pod next week will have to be done slightly later on a Sunday because there's all the midday games in League One to conclude. Lion indeed.
James is going to be nervously watching Oxford Burton, and I'm going to be enjoying it with my hands taken together, thinking we could spoil the party.
I have a feeling Portsmouth.
I have realised it's just checking. Is this my last pod? If Burton beat Oxford on Sunday, are you going to allow me back on?
It's my last pod.
We don't know. Is it going to be my last pod? If this is my last pod now, I'd just like to say I've loved being part of this. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it, and I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah, if there's no pod next week because Oxford lose, you'll know that that's it. I'm done. It's just silence from D3D4 over the summer.
What I realised is the playoff games, you can actually have people in your house for at least the final. I can't remember when the semi-finals start. But at least the final, you can have a couple of people round for a bit.
Yeah, well, if Burton beat Oxford, you're not invited. Right, guys, thank you for listening to this, and a huge thank you to our patrons who support what we do. We'll be back next week at the slightly later time, I'm sure, to bring you all the dramatic permutations, all the dramatic final conclusions to what has been a wonderful League 1 and 2 season. Until then, it's goodbye.